Welcome to Major in Adulting. Before I start bringing guests into these conversations, I want to spend a bit of time setting the context. When I finished uni, there was a fairly clear narrative. Get a job, work hard, be loyal, keep your head down. And if you did the right things in roughly the right order, life would more or less fall into place. Was it perfect? No. Was it hard? Sure. But there was a sense that effort led somewhere. That if you stuck it out, there was progression, stability, and a sense of forward movement. That narrative shaped how many of us approached work and how we defined success. For many Gen Zs, that narrative doesn't hold true anymore. They were told, study hard, get a degree or a trade, follow your interests, your passion, and things will work out themselves. But what they've stepped into looks very different. Casualised and insecure work, rising costs of living, housing that feels completely out of reach, living at home longer if they can, and a constant sense that the rules sometimes just keep changing. So when Gen Z question work or prioritise balance or want meaning in what they do, it's not coming from nowhere. It's coming from a mismatch between what they were told to expect and what they feel they're actually experiencing. If housing feels unattainable, if financial security feels fragile, and if the future feels uncertain, of course, work takes on a totally different meaning. Purpose and well-being aren't buzzwords in that context. They're anchors. They're new words for people of my generation. But they are how people make sense of effort when the payoff feels unclear. And that doesn't mean necessarily that Gen Z don't want to work. They do. What they are questioning is why, how, and at what cost. And that's a very different conversation from a work ethic. This is the part that I want to be really clear. It's definitely not a blame game. Gen X, my generation, we were shaped by a very different environment. We grew up being told to get on with it, don't complain, be grateful to have a job. Suck it up, eat shit, and just get on with it. That mindset did build resilience, but maybe it's also built some silence. So when we see younger generations naming stress, questioning norms, or setting boundaries, it can sometimes feel a bit confronting. And here's sometimes what is the uncomfortable truth. Experience doesn't automatically equal understanding. If we want to influence, lead, or support across generations, we actually have to listen, not fix straight away. Listening doesn't mean agreeing. It just means suspending judgment long enough to understand where someone else is coming from. One of the biggest surprises for me has been how much I didn't know even as a parent of Gen Z kids. I heard thoughtful, intelligent, values-driven young adults trying to make sense of a world that feels far less certain than the one I stepped into. And I definitely don't recall having the same deep and philosophical conversations about life and work as they are having today. They're not asking for things to be easy. They're asking for things to be honest. And when older generations actually take the time to understand how Gen Z think, behave, believe, and feel, the conversation can really shift. Defensiveness drops, respect grows, and a real understanding begins. So instead of asking what's wrong with this generation, I think more useful conversations could be, what expectations did I grow up with? Which of those still make sense today? And which ones don't? Where I might be reacting to behaviour instead of trying to understand context. And what would change if I listened first? Not to respond, but simply to understand. These sometimes are not comfortable questions, but I feel they really are important ones. This podcast isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions and being open to hearing perspectives that might be different from our own. You might be surprised what you learn. New episodes drop weekly, so you can find Major in Adulting on your favourite podcast platform. Please subscribe if you want to keep the conversation going. And if you think someone else would get value from it, a friend, a colleague, any Gen Zs in your life, your team, share it with them. Because that's how these conversations grow. Till next time, I'm Romaine, and keep majoring in adulting.